Unrelenting is right.
Yeah.
We have seen at least 21 tornado warnings, several in the last 2.5 hours, with at least 5 tornadoes confirmed touching the ground. Thanks for staying with us as we stay on the air to keep you safe. I'm Lena Tillett.
And I'm Gerald Owens. Debby is now a tropical depression. More tornadoes could be on the way with each passing band. There is a tornado watch in effect across the area until at least 8 o'clock tonight.
Tomorrow, many school districts are closed, delayed, or on a asynchronous schedule. You can always find an updated list of closings on WRAL.com.
The WRAL team has been following the flooding and damage all across the area all day. In Wilson County, a tornado killed a man when his home collapsed. A short distance away, a middle school was destroyed. From Wake to Franklin, Orange, and Cumberland counties, we've seen trees on roads and homes.
The WRAL News team is on top of all of it. We're live in Wake and Wilson counties. Brian Schrader is in the WRAL Live Center following the very latest developments into the newsroom. Let's begin with meteorologist Kat Campbell in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Kat.
We still have a ways to go as we track the depression Debby, that's moving through North Carolina. These are the rain bands, and it is not a non-stop, relentless rain like what we had earlier today. The rest of what's left of Debby in North Carolina is going to be these leftover rain bands that move through. The issue is that these are the bands that can spin up a tornado as well, and we've seen that evident already. We're waiting to hear confirmation on a potential tornado touchdown in Rocky Mount. A storm tracker said he saw it, and we saw something that may have been debris on the radar. So here's the next band that we're watching. This one's going to be moving into Johnston County, eventually Wake County, and points to the northwest. The atmosphere has been a bit more favorable for spin-up tornadoes, though, just north and east of the triangle. So we're keeping an eye on the storm that's moving through Lewisburg, moving into an area that's already seen several rotating storms today. Henderson, we're going to keep an eye on that storm for you. Still flash flood warnings in effect for much of the northern half of our viewing area, though it appears that Wake County has been taken out of the flash flood warnings now. I believe that theirs was set to expire just a short time ago. Let's talk about tonight. I want to walk you through the timing of this. So by 8 o'clock, our tornado watch expires. I do think that they're going to let the watch expire at 8 o'clock. This is the concern, and I want to stress we're not expecting it to be nearly as bad by any means as what we saw last night or during the day today, but there is this one band on the eastern edge of our viewing area that would move through overnight, and this one I can't rule out an isolated tornado spinning up. The environment not as favorable. Myself, meteorologist Mike Mays, and Amy Wilmoth have all been actually chatting back in the Weather Center about our plan overnight. We are going to have a full weather team here overnight to keep you covered in case anything were to spin up. So make sure that you've got your phone on, your notifications on as well. Looking ahead to tomorrow, once we get past the morning, big improvements are expected. So it's the morning hours when we've got the best chance for rain. After that, we expect temperatures to really heat up in the coming days. We're going to be back in the 90s over the weekend, and some summertime storms are possible this weekend, but just typical summertime stuff for the weekend. We got a lot of low clouds. Notice how they're just racing across the sky with Debby. I notice that every year when we see these tropical systems move by. Very low clouds, they move very quickly. And an update on river flooding. Major river flooding now forecast for Fayetteville, Smithfield, Goldsboro, Rocky Mount, Lillington, and Tarboro. Moderate river flooding in the forecast. And we'll have much more on this coming up.
I'm Dan Haggerty in Wilson County, a community coping with tragedy after a man was killed when his home collapsed. There's also the middle school back behind me. Portions of it have been destroyed. You can easily see the damage. It is really unclear what this is going to be like in a few weeks when the school year is set to begin, but it is hard to believe that this school will be a part of that. We've been talking to officials here, the county commissioners, people who are in touch with the superintendent, trying to figure out what the plan is going to be, but unfortunately it is just up in the air right now. Of course, hundreds of kids go to school here. Think about how many families are going to have their routines changed as we approach the beginning of the year. But it's not just those two major headlines. So many different homes and families have been impacted as this tornado tore through. We heard a story today that will stop your heart. It was a man who told us that his wife is a traveling nurse who just happened to be home last night, and it was her alarm, her alert on her phone that woke them up. She sprung into action and very well may have saved their lives. Listen here.
My wife comes in, she had got an alert on her phone or something or another, and she was telling us to get into the bathroom, bring a blanket and a pillow, and we grabbed a mattress. And so we were in there. We stayed in there for a while, and all of a sudden, it just hit. It started rattling, and all of a sudden, it was just a bunch of pressure in the house, and windows busting, and you just hear stuff moving all over the place. So we just started praying and got through it.
And when the wind stopped and when the dust settled, as you look at this video, guess whose room was the one that suffered the most damage? Their young son, who they were able to get up, listen to their phone alert, get into the other room, and get their son out of there before a potential catastrophe. Of course, many stories very similar to that one throughout this community today. WRAL's Destiny Patterson has been going through neighborhoods today, hearing more of those stories, talking to people who had their homes damaged, as well as a church that suffered great damage from this tornado. Destiny.
Dan, today has been a day of devastation for a lot of people. I'm standing outside of a church right now. You can see the caution tape up here, but you can also see this very large tree that was taken down by that tornado that spun up during Tropical Storm Debby. But it's really where it lands. You can now see straight into this church, and the pastor here tells me that it has been standing for more than a decade, more than a century, rather. More than 100 years worth of sermons, laughter, and history live inside this building.
I call it the Good Time Church.
But now Ernest Melton is surveying damage at Friendship Primitive Baptist Church, the place his father and grandfather used to preach.
When you hear the word friendship, you think about brotherly love, and so that's one of the main reasons. It's just a happy feeling just to know you're going to friendship.
That spirit reached beyond its walls.
But it's a fixture in Lucama. It's been here, you know, as long as I've been living.
From Drone 5, you can see the full effect of the tornado that touched down during Tropical Storm Debby.
For a church over 130 years old, you know, it's a blessing, you know, to be here that long.
Trees pierced what was a place of worship, and water pools around the pews. Looking around, Pastor Tim Woodard says he doesn't question why these things happen.
This here we have them for a purpose and for a reason.
While this building is damaged, this congregation is not broken. I want to give you a sense of what it looks like that storm came through. I mean, look at this cornfield. It's completely flattened out. And then if you walk with me this way, you can see this is where that tree is now suffering, or that tree has landed on that church, and this church is now suffering that devastation. The pastor here tells me that he's not sure if they're actually going to fix all of this, but the good news is that they're a part of association, and there are several other churches where they do worship, so they have other options there. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Wilson County.
We do see communities like this surround churches that have been damaged by tornado, fire, whatever the case may be. It's refreshing to see. Yeah,
well, hopefully they continue to rally around them, because that's going to take a lot of work to repair the damage there. Okay, you see Willie Danley here. He's in the WRAL breaking news tracker for us this evening. Now at the intersection of Woodland Road and Oakwater Drive, where we're learning that power crews are trying to get the power restored.
Willie, what are you seeing in the area right now?
Well, Gerald, I can tell you that the storm definitely passed through this area. This right here in my hands, these are shingles from a roof of one of the houses in this neighborhood. You can even see this tree that was blown off of its stoop right here. And if we look down here, this is Woodland Drive over here. There are multiple crews that are on scene right now. You can see that there are some down power lines that they're currently working to get back up, in addition to a tree that they're currently working to get chopped up and moved off of the road. This road has been closed for several hours, and they are anticipating that it's going to remain closed for the next few hours. If we go back up here to the other side over here, this is the other end of Woodland Drive. You can see those police officers that are there blocking this, because this intersection is without power. According to Duke Energy, right now there are around 2,500 customers in Wake County that are without power, 450 alone in this area. Police are advising that people proceed with caution through those intersections that don't have lights that are working. Treat those intersections like 4 four-way stops. We're going to continue to monitor this situation and keep you updated with the outages in this area. Back to you.
All right, Willie Danley reporting live for us in Raleigh. Always concerning when folks don't have power, especially as you clearly saw, the sun is setting. It's so muggy out there. It's going to be an uncomfortable evening for so many.
And hopefully it'll be restored before the sun comes up tomorrow and it starts to heat up from the day. We are not out of the woods yet. That tornado watch is going to be around for at least the next 2 hours. Kat?
And there's a new tornado warning, not in our viewing area, but just west of us. Just south of the Yanceyville community in Caswell County, moving away from Person County and Roxborough, luckily. But we're going to track these storms as they continue to move through. And I'm going to talk about river flooding. We've got some new numbers in for the forecast crest. I'll have that coming right up.
Welcome back to the WRAL Live Center. We are getting new video of that possible tornado in Rocky Mount that happened within the past hour. This is video from a viewer on Meadowbrook Road, and you can see what appears to be a rain-wrapped tornado there in the distance. This is the one that triggered that warning. If you were watching at the top of the hour that Mike and Kat were telling us about, they also saw a debris signature on the radar, and certainly that looks suspicious. We're not ready to call it a confirmed tornado, but a possible tornado. This is another video from a storm chaser, Pete Forrester, who says that he saw a rain-wrapped tornado. And there in the distance, you can kind of make out the outline there. At this point, we have not heard of any damage there in Rocky Mount, but we are working to find out more.
All right, Brian, thank you. In Wilson County, a man is dead after a tornado touched down, flattening his home in Lucama.
Family members confirming to WRAL that 60-year-old Brian Barnes was killed. WRAL's Kristen Severance has been speaking with the family members of the man who died. What are you learning, Kristen?
You know, I talked to the sister of 6-year-old Brian Barnes. He lived in this home, a home that used to be 2 stories before a tornado just ripped through this entire area. You know, his family told me Barnes grew up here. He lived here his entire life. His family was here walking through what's left of the house today. Of course, they are in just disbelief. His sister, Hamburger, told me she knew the weather was bad. She heard the tornado warnings. She texted her brother, you know, around 3:30 in the morning. She never heard back. And she called neighbors who also did not hear from Brian. Now, this home has a basement, and we were there early this morning when neighbors came. They searched the area, calling his name, hoping that maybe he made it down to the basement. Sadly, he did not. He was pulled from the first floor bedrooms, fire officials told us earlier. And his sister called him a wonderful person. She describes him, and she also talks about the last time she talked with him.
He was fun. He was generous. I don't know what to say. I just start crying. Helpful. Came to my house last night. I was going to come over this morning and put a garbage disposal in. Said I'll call you in the morning. And this happened.
Yeah, you know, it's just so sad. And there are signs of his life everywhere. We saw 2 cats, one right there, come out of the home, come out of the rubble earlier. His family, when they were looking through the home, you know, I saw his sister. She had something in her arms, and I asked her, I said, you know, what do you have? And she showed me a record that she found in perfect condition. It was the Allman Brothers, and she said, you know, it's one of the only things that I found of his. I'm going, you know, to take it and maybe give it to some family members. People were so upset. We talked to neighbors all down this street. They all knew him. Brian, you know, organized the neighborhood block party, they called it, every year, and they really are in disbelief that this happened.
It's just even more devastating, Kristen, because it came in the middle of the night. I mean, you can imagine he was sleeping when that warning came down, and he just wasn't able to get to a safe place.
Right, and so many other neighbors. You know, 4 homes down. I talked with Norm and his wife, and they heard that warning. They said their home was shaking. They got up, they looked around. He saw the tornado pass by, And he thought, okay, I'm okay. He went to come out, and then 4 homes down, this is what Brian's house looks like. So you just never know the path of these tornadoes, and you just, this shows just how strong they are.
Sure, Mother Nature.
Yep.
Can we brutal? Kristen Severance reporting live for us in Wilson County. Thank you.
Let's go to meteorologist Kat Campbell. Kat, we've seen the pain that the Barnes family is going through. Other families have lost everything they have. Their homes are destroyed. How much longer will this community have to deal with this kind of destruction, possibly?
Well, the tornado watch expires at 8 o'clock, and that's when the greatest threat is over. We're going to leave in a small in threat even during the overnight hours tonight through about 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, just in our eastern counties for one last band that looks like it may end up passing through. I do want to let folks know we've got 3 active tornado warnings. None of them are in our immediate viewing area, so we're not going to do wall-to-wall coverage on these, but a couple warnings for Caswell County, and then there is a new one closer to New Bern that I want to mention as well. That new warning for that region is for part of Jones County, Craven County, Pitt County, and Beaufort County until 6:15. The storm is about 7 miles west of New Bern, moving to the north at 40 miles per hour. Just want to let folks know about that threat. Greenville, you are not included in the warning, even though there is a small part of Pitt County that is included in that tornado warning. It's been a busy day. This is why we've been on the air with you all day. Look at all the damage in North Carolina and even up into Virginia from Debby. A lot of these reports are of flooded roads, some from trees down, and we have the 5 confirmed tornadoes, though I just sent in the pictures and the videos that we're getting from Rocky Mount to get an official confirmation from the National Weather Service in Raleigh. We should hear from them shortly, and they will be out at all of these possible tornado sites and confirmed tornado sites tomorrow, assessing the damage, and tomorrow is when we will learn the EF ranking of each of these tornadoes. 24 tornado warnings and counting today, at least 5 confirmed tornadoes, and we have been on the air with you since 2:17 a.m. when we first had tornado warnings issued this morning. It's been a very long day, but we are going to get through it. We're almost there. Tomorrow, we just have through 7 a.m. that threat for a bad storm, and then once we get past tomorrow morning, we really see the bulk of the rain move out really rather quickly during the day tomorrow. And then for Saturday, 90 the high, some summertime storms possible this weekend, but not associated with Debby. Let's talk about river flooding. I showed you this graphic a short time ago. The flood levels are going up. So let's start with the Tar River. Lewisburg, we are expecting major flooding now, as well as Rocky Mount. The on-ramps could begin to flood at US 64 at NC 97 in Rocky Mount. Tarboro, you are expecting some moderate river flooding, but not as bad as Rocky Mount and Lewisburg along the Tar River. Let's take a look at the Neuse River flooding. Clayton, Smithfield, and Goldsboro now all forecasting major river flooding. And just to the south, Fayetteville now expecting major river flooding. Water bypasses the left end of the NC 24 bridge. Cumberland tractor lot floods, and Lillington could see some homes flood on Riverside Hills Drive. Once we get past tomorrow morning, we still have the river flooding threat. That's why we're leaving the WRAL weather alert day, but much better weather is on the horizon, more typical August summertime weather. We still have a ways to go in hurricane season, though. We're not done until late November.
Unfortunately. All right, Kat, thank you. We're going to take a quick break and be back with more Tropical Depression Debby coverage on WRAL.